Hello, faculty committee. My name is Rachel Burnside, and I am going to be giving you my comprehension exam presentation for fall 2025 for the completion of my Master's of Science in Dementia and Aging master's degree. So why don't we go ahead and get started? So just to introduce myself so you guys can know a little bit about my background in case any of the faculty need a reminder. I do have my Bachelor's of Science in Communication Sciences and Disorders from West Virginia University. For a very long time, I thought I wanted to be a speech-language pathologist. I soon realized that there was really only one population within speech-language pathology that really sung to my heart, and that indeed was geriatrics. So this is hopefully my first degree in my journey to helping older adults and people living with dementia achieve their best quality of life. Right after my Bachelor's of Science was completed, I did step into a role in a skilled nursing facility in Morgantown, so very local, as a life enrichment assistant. And I did that for 2 years, and that's actually what really truly introduced me to the population that I loved the most. And then after that, for the past 2 years, while completing my degree, my Master's of Science, I have been a dementia training specialist for a senior living community here in Morgantown. And it is a much bigger corporation than I was originally. And I help out throughout the state in training various departments on how to provide person-centered dementia care. And as you can tell, and you're probably going to learn very quickly, my biggest interest is rural healthcare and how we can help rural populations achieve that best quality of life while aging successfully. So for my career plans, now the big beautiful thing about gerontology is that it really truly I can be in so many different areas of the workforce nationally or internationally. So I could go in the nonprofit sector, which really is intriguing. I'm not going to lie to you. The Association of Frontotemporal Dementia, also known as the AFTD. I have a very close connection with them. I'm actually a support group leader for the very first West Virginia-based support group for FTD caregivers. We're very proud of that. That started this year. And I also had the wonderful collaborative role of doing some work with the Rural Action Aging Network, which stems from the Lutheran Services in America company, which I do believe is the only nonprofit on Capitol Hill. I believe that is correct. But yes, both wonderful organizations. As we know, currently, the nonprofit sector is losing funding. So unfortunately, as I'm joining the workforce, I have not seen a lot of openings for job opportunities. However, I'm always very, very hopeful and optimistic that it'll be different in the future, and I can join the nonprofit sector and bring everything and all those resources into West Virginia, or in the very least, Appalachia. There are newer companies that have caught my eye as I am going through and trying to find opportunities that offer more leadership with my newly obtained degree, and that is Synapticure, which I do believe is a much newer company. Within the last 5 years has been developed, and they have a lot to do with telehealth and how to get to communities that are not always reached in more urbanized areas for neurological disorders, which would include dementia and a lot of other age-related illnesses. LA Mental Health, I've actually collaborated with in the past. Plus, I do know a lot of professionals who work for LA Mental Health, but I do know that I've been in discussion with them about maybe doing a few other opportunities about having caregiver services and therapy and support groups offered through their company. And really, truly, the whole goal of everything that I just mentioned is to eventually, I want to create a resource of my own, and bring it to West Virginia, because really, truly, in my heart, the only people who know West Virginians are West Virginians. And hopefully with those resources that I create, I can support rural and low SES communities, and their older adults that live within them, because there's a lot of them. I do believe over 20% of our population in West Virginia are older adults, and that is expected to increase drastically in the upcoming decades. So it is very much so needed. So, as discussed with my goals, I really, really hope to help create a bridge between the fear, and the distrust of healthcare, because in rural healthcare, we don't have the opportunities, and sometimes that can take the form of not having correct diagnoses, abuse in the healthcare system, just absences in general, and bringing that into the West Virginia communities. Because with low SES and lack of education, you usually do have stigmas and stereotypes that kind of dictate what happens to them in the future, which is really unfortunate. Also, I want to focus my time and effort on Appalachia. I would love for it to solely be in West Virginia, but there are many, many states that fall into that category of the mountains are beautiful, but the mountains are also isolating. So it's incredibly important to try my best to reach all populations as best I can, especially older adults, which fall into vulnerable populations. I really, really want to help increase life longevity. Just a little bit of background on me. People are always asking me, because I talk about dementia so much, well, did your grandparents have dementia? I did have a step-grandparent who had dementia, but obviously there would be no genetic components because I'm not related to her. She was my grandmother, like in my heart, but genetically, biologically, we weren't the same. And my maternal and paternal grandparents died before the age of 65. So nobody reached older adulthood. And we all stem from West Virginia. So I don't know if I have a higher risk of developing dementia because my grandparents never made it to older adulthood. So I want to have longer life longevity for low SES communities. So, if those services are needed, at least we can reach those milestones. So I took so many wonderful classes within this degree. I'm super, super excited to apply everything that I've learned from that. I did have the wonderful opportunity to take communication and aging, which falls in the communication disorders department, which I thought was just kind of a full circle moment since I got my bachelor's degree from that very, topic and profession. So I thought that was really, really wonderful. I took two classes in long-term care administration. Very, very enlightening, especially because I've been in long-term care settings kind of ever since I graduated with my bachelor's. So it's very, very nice to kind of see the behind the scenes areas that I haven't gotten to witness myself. So for example, with like environmental services, those things are taken care of usually by our maintenance director. And, I kind of had a bit of respect developed for everything that he does now, as well as for understanding just federal and state regulations that happen within long-term care, because usually things are dictated very heavily by Medicaid, Medicare, and other types of insurance and funding. And then last, something that I hope to discuss through this presentation is dementia and ethics, which was the one philosophy class that I am currently taking and I'm very much so enjoying. I really, really enjoy a topic that is so open for discussion and really, really open to interpretation, because as we know, things are never, ever cut and dry. When it comes to caregiving and the role that dementia plays in society, everybody has their own unique experiences, and philosophy kind of is able to have such a broad view while also maintaining the good and the necessary parts of how a society should run. So I'm really enjoying this class. So let's go ahead and get into communication disorders. So again, I do have a background in this, so very near and dear to my heart. Once upon a time, I actually thought I wanted to work with kids, which is very funny. Um, but what actually, the very first older adult that I worked with was in my senior year of college, and this person had Huntington's disease. So they kind of pulled me into the world of older adulthood, and kind of really helped me enjoy the medical aspects of communication disorders. So, as we know, there's always a very, very strong collaboration in all healthcare settings where speech language pathology most likely will take place. That can be in hospitals where we will see older adults come in, skilled nursing facilities, which of course, I working there for 2 years had a very, very strong collaborative role with our SLP, who was absolutely wonderful and really, really let me exercise my knowledge and even learn more within the practice of helping adults achieve successful aging in every way that we could. And then also home health, which I do believe I have not had the experience yet of home health. Hopefully one day I might be able to have that. I think hospice as well is a very, very just unsung hero of older adulthood, something that everybody I feel like should be aware of and be able to utilize. But I really found it very interesting. There was a very fantastic SLP that I have gotten to know through the dementia community, and she has argued that habilitation is even more important than rehabilitation, especially when it comes to people living with dementia, because we're not going to be able to reverse anything without, hopefully in the future, major medical interventions. But as of right now, we can't do that. So our goal is to plateau symptoms for as long as possible and create that longer longevity, especially with certain types of dementia, especially like Alzheimer's disease, which typically from average age of onset is 12 to 20 years until death. So that's a long time to live with the disease. So therefore, we should make the best that we have with the circumstances that we were given. So communication disorders plays a large role in that. I know, especially leaning towards the end of life care, dysphagia is a very, very strong component in what happens with dementia. So communication disorders does a great job of looking through diets and trying to still get them nutrients, even though their bodies are slowly getting to that point of deterioration. So I have a really strong respect for communication disorders. So long-term care. Again, I've been in long-term care. I understand long-term care, and I'm learning more and more, especially through this master's degree. So I'm very, very, very thankful for everything that I've been given through my academic experience. So again, there are so many different types of long-term care. One of the newest things that I was introduced to in the last 2 years is how a memory care unit runs, and it's very, very different than a skilled nursing facility. So I really want kind of the general public to understand the differences, because different resources are going to be better for different people, and understanding which place is going to complement them the best, that's going to give them the best quality of life. So understanding all the various resources that fall within long-term care settings, we need to make sure that as gerontologists, we are able to let the general public know this, and especially the people that are starting to go through their caregiving journey, also the people who are starting on their dementia journey, and understand what role is going to fit best for me. And also federal and state regulations are very, very different depending on what location and what setting that you decide to be in. I currently am in private pay, and that's very, very, very different than a place that typically takes Medicare and Medicaid. So understanding those differences and understanding the freedoms and even like the stricter responsibilities that you might have in both environments, it's very, very important to know and to understand, because let me tell you, things are just going to get more and more expensive, and senior living is going to get more and more expensive. So it's really, really important to understand what could happen in older adulthood, and to be prepared for everything that might come. But yeah. Last thing I want to talk about is philosophy. Again, I'm really enjoying the class I'm currently taking. I have a wonderful professor, um, and she has done a really good job of really letting most people guide the conversation, her students, and us trying to discover what scenarios have been best for us, and then taking experiences from our other peers and learning from those experiences as well. So this can be applied. Philosophy is not just in healthcare, it's in everything, but it's really, really important that it's applied in healthcare because of the various things that happen, especially in older adulthood. With people living with dementia, communication is slowly being taken away, and therefore we fall into the ethics of people making decisions for other people, and that's a really hard thing to come to. It's not uncommon for people within lower SES communities to not have anybody else speak for them, so then they're hired. Someone's hired through the state to be a state appointed representative. It's always kind of been a really scary thing in my head, but sometimes that's what has to happen for this person to have the best quality of life. So again, really, really important that we understand, how are we going to give this person the best quality of life, because it's going to look different each and every time. And again, it takes an even stronger prevalence in dementia because of the daily cognitive decline. I think one of the most interesting aspects that I found within philosophy is the virtue ethics, because again, looking at the ethics of being a gerontologist, I know it kind of feels like science is under attack right now, but again, it's my job to take all of the evidence-based approaches, evidence-based interventions that I have learned, and to apply that into the care of older adults and the care of people living with dementia. So to always make sure that I am choosing the best things for my clients. And sometimes that can be a little bit difficult because within our interdisciplinary care teams, we have family members who may not always be the best educated. But of course, with philosophy, we are to bring all of the things that we know and to educate the family in the most respectful and courteous way that we can, because there's no, manual on how to bring care to people that you love. But to make sure that the quality of life for the resident, person living with dementia, is the number one goal in the care plan. So through this application, all the things that I've learned, which has been amazing, all three areas, they're going to be applied to me as a professional. I am going to enter into my society, and I am going to make it better for older adults. I'm going to encourage better results within my community, which is very, very rural and low socioeconomic status. And then also applying this to legislation within my state, which I technically already have, which is amazing. If you're curious and wanting to look it up, it is House Bill 2575 in West Virginia legislation. But with rural and low socioeconomic status communities, you need more resources. And with the application of it being passed this current year, we now have a dementia services director for West Virginia, which is amazing. So I'm so glad that my education through here has been able to help my own community, because Texas is a very, very long ways away from here, but everyone needs to be taken care of. So I do appreciate everything that I've learned and able to help. I have such a long life ahead of me to create change. I'm so excited to see what happens. I'm so excited for the collaboration and everything that's going to be involved. And I'm going to use all the experiences that I have to create the best quality of life for older adults and people living with dementia. And I think one of the most important things that I've learned through here is older adulthood is not something that I should fear. It is something that I should look forward to. It is a privilege to age. So thank you so much for everything that you guys have taught, and please keep it up, and I'm so excited for what the future holds. So thank you so much.